Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. The flock rundown. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
Appreciate you, Ray. What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. I'm not in my normal podcast studio today. I'm traveling. I'm in Montana visiting my girlfriend's family, but just wanted to get on here and talk about this Ravens 53-man roster that finally dropped. Last team in the NFL to release the roster. I was planning to have this ready to go before I got on the plane, but they took like 5 hours to release the roster, so we're dropping it the next day, but here we are. Let's go. Let's dive into what surprised me, what I think about who made the 53, and what the next steps are. So we'll start with the surprises. At first, I was surprised that we only went with 2 QBs after the rule change. Now, before, when I made my initial 53-man roster prediction, I had only 2 QBs making the team, so that made complete sense. But I thought that might change when the NFLPA vetoed the rule the other day that the backup emergency third QB had to be on the active roster, but the Ravens still decided not to do that. So that doesn't mean that Devin Leary and or Emory Jones won't make the practice squad, but it does mean they're not on the active roster, and therefore, if they do want to bring them up for a third emergency QB situation, they're going to have to use the practice squad elevation. So I believe you only get 3 practice squad elevations. So you're going to have to kind of dance around that throughout the year. We don't have an active third quarterback on the roster, so slightly surprised by that with the rule change. But I also understand that the Ravens didn't feel like they had a third quarterback worthy enough of a roster spot and wanted to give it to other guys that we'll talk about in a second, so I get it. Another cut that surprised me was linebacker Josh Ross. Now, he was just recently in a car accident, and he's been missing a little bit of practice, so that could have definitely played a role. It's pretty unfortunate and kind of messed up, but it's just the reality of the business, you know. I'm not sure. Maybe he was going to get cut anyway, but I know that he was kind of rumored to be on the roster and was making a name for himself, at least on special teams too, and just as a depth linebacker. But the Ravens decided to part ways, and a lot of these guys that they're parting ways with, they're going to bring back on the practice squad. So it's not like we're saying goodbye to a lot of these guys. But I was a little surprised that Josh Ross was cut. Was also a little surprised that Dayton Wade was cut. I know there's a lot of Ravens fans out there that wanted Dayton Wade to make the team. I felt like he did enough to make the team. I didn't predict on my 53-man roster that he was going to make the team, only because I could sense the confidence that the coaches had in Deontay Harty as their returner. I don't think Harty's going to be heavily involved in the passing game, but I think that's our starting kick returner and punt returner. And whether we've seen flashes in the preseason or not, I don't think so. I really don't think Harty's flashed at all. I've been saying that. I think Wade as a wide receiver deserved this spot much more, but they obviously see something in Harty, and he does have a lot of NFL experience returning kicks. So I'm not shocked by it, but it does suck because I feel like Wade did enough to make the team and showed a lot of potential, and hopefully he can come back on the practice squad. I don't know. That's probably the most iffy player, I'd say, that might not make it back to the practice squad. He could get signed somewhere, but we'll see. Hopefully he can get on the practice squad. I think the Ravens would like to keep him around, would like to keep all these guys around, but especially a guy like Dayton Wade, I really feel like he did enough. Another move I was kind of surprised by is Rasheen Ali made the active roster. I'm not blown away by this, but I thought that he may be put on IR. I just feel like he didn't show enough, and he's been banged up for weeks now. I know he's in the concussion protocol, so they obviously feel that he's about to get out of that. But he really didn't show a ton to us, and maybe they see a lot more in practice and are going off his college tape and just his potential too. You know, he's a recent 5th-round pick, so that definitely plays a role. You know, Eric DeCosta invested a 5th-round draft pick into this guy this season, so they obviously want to keep Rasheen Ali around. Now, that doesn't mean they're not going to go sign another veteran running back, but at this point, that's probably going to be our 3 backs. And I didn't think anyone else was really worthy of making the team. You know, Kelly was a veteran, Collier. I mean, there's some guys that I feel like were on that bubble, but nobody really was shining in that situation, including Rasheen Ali. Owen Wright was going to be our RB3, but he broke his foot, so they're going to roll with Rasheen Ali. I just didn't know if they were going to use a roster spot for him. They decided that they were, so a little surprised by that, but definitely rooting for Rasheen Ali to step up and would love for him to, you know, play a role on this team this year and for years to come, especially until Keaton Mitchell comes back. I think whenever Keaton Mitchell comes back healthy, we're not even going to be concerned about who's our RB3, RB4. You know, it doesn't really matter. You got Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, Keaton Mitchell. That's good enough. Another interesting move that I didn't really see coming was the Ravens kept 10 offensive linemen. I expected them to carry some extra offensive linemen, but they really kept everyone pretty much, you know. Samac made the team, Saleh made the team, Jones made the team. A couple guys that we were debating that were on the bubble ended up all making it. They're going with 10 offensive linemen, which clearly shows that they want depth there. And with how unknown the top of the offensive line is, at least 3 of the starters, I understand, you know, I understand having some depth there, having some security, giving yourself some options. Harbaugh mentioned a rotation potentially. I think he was talking about at right tackle, but you never know. They might still be trying some guys out. I hope not. I hope that we're rolling a starting offensive line out there that you can let go through the growing pains and develop game after game and keep getting better, but you never know. We got 10 offensive linemen on the active roster for now. And obviously this roster is just the initial 53. It's not really the end-all, be-all. It's going to change, you know, week by week from here on out as players get injured, as players come back, as other players on other teams are released, and the Ravens might go explore that market and move a couple guys that they made on their active roster down to the practice squad. There's a lot of moves that are going to be made over the course of the season. And then shout out to Beau, Brade, and Sanoussi, Kane, man. Both safeties ended up making the roster, and they well deserved. I thought they might roll with Pepe just because of a numbers game. Obviously, I was very wrong there. They cut Pepe pretty quick. But we talked about in the other episode, the debate was between Pepe and Kane and Brade. You know, you could really keep 2 of those guys, I felt like. And they decided to cut Pepe and keep 2 safeties. So they're rolling with 6 safeties, which is a bit more than normal, but I think this secondary is absolutely stacked. Beau Brade did everything he could to make this team well-deserved. He's out there rocking number 6, which I think is sick. He played for Maryland, which I think is sick. He's staying home. And then Sanoussi Kane, I mean, come on. He plays like a Raven. He plays physical as ever. And I'm so glad we didn't lose those guys. I think that they're going to play important roles for us, even if it's just special teams this year or to start the year. Our secondary depth is ridiculous. Congrats to those guys. Congrats to everyone who made the roster. Making an active NFL roster is not an easy feat. And I think that this is a huge accomplishment, especially for a team like Baltimore that's so talented. I think it's not easy to make this team. You know, there's a lot of other teams that might be a bit easier to make. So whoever's making this team definitely earned it, definitely deserved it. And I can't wait to get this season started. Got the Chiefs coming up in a little over a week. We're going to have the practice squad fully filled out tomorrow. Now, like I said, this is a constant changing thing, but it will be important to know who out of these cuts comes back and is staying a part of the team. So hopefully guys like Dayton Wade, not sure if they're going to bring both quarterbacks or any of the quarterbacks back. They obviously could go out hunting for another quarterback that they might want as their emergency third QB. But I could see a guy like Devin Leary sticking around on the practice squad. Just hoping guys like Dayton Wade and maybe even a Pepe Williams. I would love to see the bubble guys who were close to making the team stay on the practice squad just because I feel like they do have some upside and, you know, could get called up for game days depending on what happens. So that's it for today, guys. I appreciate you as always for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.